Hi, this video is to show how I expect you to annotate your spreadsheet solutions. When you upload an Excel file to MU Online, it's really important that you make it as easy as possible for the grader to understand your solution, to find your answer. It is not the grader's responsibility to go hunting for the right answer on a spreadsheet that you've created. You have to really do a good job communicating your engineering skills and the answers that you've calculated. So as an illustration of these expectations, let's take the following problem as an example. This is an in-class exercise that we solved in class number 9. And so you probably remember where we were calculating what unknown interest rate brings into equilibrium if someone paid $60,000 and receives income of $16,000 for 5 years. In that in-class exercise, what we did is we solved it two different ways, one a manual way and one a little more automated. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to take this statement, and when you're solving your Excel, you want to actually put the problem statement into the file. And that way the Excel solution can stand alone. My suggestion is that if you put that in italics, then it makes it clear you're quoting the problem and that these aren't your words. All right, so let's say that you went through and you did the calculations. That's not what this video is meant to show you. This video is not about the calculations for this specific problem. It's about how do you make it clear to the grader what's your answer. And so the first thing that you should do, besides adding the problem statement, is add some notes. And so what I often do is this little arrow indicator, and I'd say something like initial guess was I equals 0.10, kept changing I until the sum of PV amount equals 0. All right, so what you're doing there is you're both identifying the answer and you're also explaining a little bit more detail about how you got it. And so a secondary note could be added down here because this was an important part of the solution. Note, when the sum equals 0, then that means the interest rate has been balanced. Has balanced the inflows and the outflows. All right, so you're providing a little bit more of evidence that you understand what's going on, helping the grader to see what that means and why you had it in the position that you did. Finally, let's answer the question. In part A, it says here, solve for this interest rate using the method sum of PV equals amount equals 0. So thus the answer is 10.42%, since that is the interest rate that makes the sum of the PV equal to 0. Okay, so you'll notice that this is already in bold, and that's because I was working on this earlier. And I might even bold and underline the numerical answer. So you want to make it really easy for the grader to find what your answer is. We also did it according to this formula, this built-in Excel formula. And rather than just leaving it at the numbers there, let's leave a note to explain where that came from. Found this by using the built-in Excel function equals rate with the variables n equals 5, PMT equals 16,000 and PV equals negative 60,000. Okay, so there it's obvious, since all those numbers are hidden, when it just shows the answer, you can't see what the input variables were. Having this kind of takes the mystery out of what you did, why, and what variables were utilized. The last thing that we can do is make it a little more visually appealing. And so one way to do that might be to add some cell borders, highlight the columns. We could also put a thick black border around our answers where it's being calculated. So it just kind of draws the attention to the important parts. And so that's basically it. The key things here in correctly communicating an Excel file is add the problem statement, number one. Add notes, explanatory notes at key locations, which would maybe be the key location is this is what was being changed by goal seek. And here's another key location because that was the goal. The goal was that the sum of those should be equal to 0. So those were two particularly important cells, and that's why I added the notes. Then the other key factor is that the answer has been expressed explicitly. I'm not just leaving it to the grader to go out and find somewhere on the worksheet what's the answer, but I answered the question directly. What is the interest rate? The answer is 10.42%. So that's in bold and underlined. And then the other thing here is, we added those borders to make it a little bit more visually appealing and to try and declutter a bit. And of course, there was another note here just further explaining what was done, what were the inputs. So those are the things that you should do anytime you submit Excel. You need to upload the Excel file, and then if it's an assignment that has both Excel files and handwritten calculations, then of course you're going to have the handwritten calculations as a PDF, and then this as the Excel file. But what you ought to do is on paper say the answer to problem 1 is X, and the Excel file is also attached. So you're answering the question on paper and you're mentioning that your solution is found in Excel. Because some of these problems you could solve by hand, by the equation method, factor method, Excel. Sometimes I give you the flexibility to solve it however you like. And so you need to make it clear to the grader in your PDF where they should be looking for your solution. All right, so that's it. If you have any questions, we can discuss it in class, and I will see you next time.